Welcome back to Artificial Evidence, the podcast where the details matter, the shadows hold secrets, and the algorithm knows. I am your host, Owen Carver, and today we are taking a trip deep into the woods, into the kind of story that sounds like an urban legend but is all too real. Summer camps have long been the setting of ghost stories told around flickering campfires. Stories of shadowy figures lurking beyond the trees, of strange noises in the dead of night, of local legends meant to scare kids into staying in their cabins. But at Black Hollow Camp, the horror was not a legend. It was not a ghost story. It was something much worse. In the summer of 2009, 8 counselors arrived at Black Hollow, a small and secluded summer retreat deep in the forests of northern Maine. The camp was preparing to reopen after nearly a decade of closure. What was meant to be a week of training, cleaning, and setting up for incoming campers turned into something out of a nightmare. Because by the time the week was over, only one of them would make it out alive. This is Blood Moon at Black Hollow Camp. Black Hollow had been abandoned since 2001, when a deadly fire swept through the eastern side of the campgrounds. The official report blamed a faulty electrical system. 2 cabins were lost, and while there were no fatalities, the camp shut down indefinitely. It sat untouched for years, hidden away in the dense Maine wilderness, until a private investor purchased the land and decided to revive it. That is where our story begins. The counselors arrived in early June, traveling in pairs or small groups. The only way to reach the camp was a winding dirt road that cut through miles of forest. No cell service, no nearby towns, just trees and silence. The group consisted of 8 people. Nick Holloway, the head counselor and de facto leader, 26 years old, responsible, athletic, the one everyone trusted to keep things organized. Samantha Pierce, 23, friendly, the kind of person who could get along with anyone. She was in charge of the waterfront activities. Ben Carson and Olivia Tran, both 24, had been dating for 3 years. They signed up together, hoping for a fun summer before moving in together that fall. Jake Myers, 22, was the practical joker. Loud, brash, always messing around. The kind of guy you either loved or could not stand. Emily Rhodes, 25, quieter than the others, more serious. She had been a camper at Black Hollow years ago and had signed up out of nostalgia. Danny Alvarez, 22, was the youngest, a film student who carried a camcorder everywhere, eager to document everything. And finally, Lucy Danvers, 24, the cook. Sarcastic, sharp-witted, always making fun of the horror movie setup they had walked into. For the first 2 days, everything was normal. They cleaned out the cabins, took inventory of supplies, and explored the overgrown trails around the camp. There was laughter, teasing, and late-night drinks by the fire. But on the 3rd night, things took a turn. The first sign that something was wrong was the footprints. Danny had been up early, wandering the grounds with his camera, recording everything. When he reached the fire pit near the lake, he noticed something strange. Footprints in the dirt. But not their footprints. The prints were larger, heavier, and led from the tree line toward the cabins before vanishing into the grass. Danny showed the others, half expecting them to laugh it off. But Olivia, the most level-headed of the group, got quiet, because she had seen something too. The night before, she had woken up to the sound of movement outside her cabin. At first, she thought it was one of the others heading to the bathroom. But when she looked out the window, she saw a figure standing near the tree line. Not moving, not making a sound, just standing there. By the time she blinked, it was gone. Nick tried to keep everyone calm. It was probably just a hunter or some local messing with them. The camp had been abandoned for years. Maybe they had walked in on someone who had been using it as a hangout spot. That night, they locked the cabin doors. The next morning, they found Jake's bed empty. At first, they thought he was playing a prank, but as the hours passed, the joking stopped. His belongings were still in his cabin, his shoes, his phone, his keys. A search of the campgrounds turned up nothing. The only thing they found was Danny's camera, lying in the grass near the fire pit. The footage was corrupted, nothing but static and garbled sound. Panic set in. With no cell service, they had to make a choice. Stay put and wait for help, or take one of the camp's old canoes and try to reach a ranger station miles away. Nick, Olivia, and Emily decided to stay behind while the others paddled out across the lake. They never made it. Hours later, as the sun dipped behind the trees, Olivia saw something bobbing near the shore. One of the canoes flipped. When they pulled it onto land, they found Samantha's life vest tangled in the reeds. The rest of the group was gone. That night, the screams started, low at first, just barely audible over the wind through the trees, then louder. The sound of something moving in the brush, of footsteps circling the cabins, of something scratching at the wooden walls. Emily broke first. She ran. Out into the darkness, into the woods. Olivia and Nick tried to stop her, but she was too fast. Her screams echoed through the night. Then silence. At dawn, it was just Olivia and Nick. They did not speak. They did not sleep. They just sat there, waiting. When the sun rose high enough to cut through the trees, they made their move. They ran. Branches tore at their arms, their legs. They could hear something behind them, something crashing through the undergrowth. Nick was the first to fall. Olivia kept running, and she made it. A lone hiker found her on a back road covered in cuts, shaking, barely able to speak. She was rushed to the nearest hospital, where she told the police everything. A full search of the camp was launched. No bodies, no signs of struggle, nothing. The only thing they found was an old hunting knife lodged in the trunk of a tree near the cabins. Black Hollow never reopened. To this day, no trace of the others has ever been found. The case remains open. And Olivia Danvers, she has never spoken publicly about what happened again. Some say she saw something she was never meant to see. Some say she was the only survivor for a reason. And some say Black Hollow is still out there, waiting for the next group to arrive. The next group that will never leave. That is all for tonight. Thank you for listening to Artificial Evidence. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, the algorithm knows.